The wealthiest families in history do not save money the way you were taught. Most people believe that saving is an act of virtue. They believe that putting money into a bank account and leaving it there is the ultimate sign of financial responsibility. They are wrong. This approach to capital is not a strategy for wealth. It is a strategy for stagnation. It is a slow erosion of potential. The middle class saves to consume later. The poor save because they are afraid of tomorrow. But the wise do not merely save. They circulate. They allocate. They follow a blueprint that has survived for 3,000 years. This blueprint is not found in modern banking brochures. It is found in the ancient wisdom of the Jewish tradition and the specific instructions of King Solomon. There are two types of people in every generation. One type views money as a finished product. To them, a dollar is a unit of consumption. They work hard to get it. They feel a sense of relief when they see it sitting in an account. They guard it with a spirit of contraction. They believe that by holding on to it tightly, they are creating safety. But because they do not understand the nature of capital, their savings are eventually consumed by inflation, taxes, or an unexpected crisis. They are always one emergency away from starting over. They are savers in name, but in reality they are just delayed consumers. Their money is dead. The other type views money as a seed. They understand that a dollar is not a unit of consumption, but a unit of production. They do not save out of fear. They save for the purpose of strategic deployment. They view their capital as a workforce that must be put to work. This person understands that money sitting still is money losing value. They do not focus on the amount they have. They focus on the system they have built. One path leads to a life of constant anxiety and limited options. The other path leads to a multi-generational legacy of freedom and influence. The difference is not how much they earn. The difference is how they perceive the function of their resources. Proverbs 13:22 states that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Solomon wrote this during the height of Israel's golden age. This is not a suggestion. This is a definition of successful stewardship. Notice the timeline Solomon establishes. He does not say a good man provides for himself. He does not even say a good man provides for his children. He specifies the third generation. He focuses on the grandchildren. This is a mathematical impossibility for someone who saves like a consumer. You cannot save enough wages to provide for 3 generations of descendants. It is physically impossible. The only way to fulfill this mandate is to move from saving to building. You must move from holding currency to owning assets. Solomon was not a theorist. He was a practitioner of immense scale. He understood that wealth is a byproduct of wisdom applied to physical reality. When he speaks of an inheritance, he is not talking about a pile of cash. In the ancient world, an inheritance consisted of land, livestock, and wisdom. It was a productive system. Modern saving habits focus on the pile. Ancient wisdom focuses on the system. The Jewish blueprint for wealth is built on this specific understanding of Proverbs 13. It is why Jewish families have historically represented a disproportionate amount of the world's wealth, despite representing a tiny fraction of the population. They do not save to stay safe. They save to become owners. When you save money out of fear, something changes inside your mind. You begin to develop a scarcity mindset. You look at the world and see a limited number of opportunities. You see every expense as a threat to your survival. This creates chronic stress. It narrows your vision. You become unable to take calculated risks because you are too busy protecting your small pile of cash. This is a psychological prison. The person who saves like a poor person is always waiting for the other shoe to drop. They are waiting for the market to crash or the job to end. Their financial life is a series of defensive maneuvers. They have no offense. They have no vision for the future because they are too terrified of the present. This fear is the invisible cost of conventional saving. It keeps you small. It keeps you dependent on an employer or a government. It prevents you from seeing the abundance that Solomon describes in his writings. Wealthy people do not feel this way about money. They view it as a tool. If a carpenter breaks a hammer, he does not go into a clinical depression. He simply buys another hammer. He knows how to use the tool to create value. When you understand the Solomon Code, you stop being a servant to the currency and start being a master of the system. You realize that your value is not in your bank balance. Your value is in your ability to manage and multiply resources for the benefit of others and the glory of God. Modern financial giants have validated these ancient principles through decades of testing. Charlie Munger, the late vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, spent his entire life studying the psychology of human misjudgment. His conclusion was simple. He believed that the biggest mistake people make is not being patient enough to let wealth compound. He famously said that the first rule of compounding is to never interrupt it unnecessarily. This is what Solomon meant by the inheritance for the third generation. If you spend what you save, you interrupt the compounding. If you save it but never invest it, you never start the compounding. Munger called it the Lollapalooza effect. Solomon called it wisdom. Same truth, different century. Warren Buffett follows a similar logic. He does not save money to buy a bigger house or a better car. He keeps massive cash reserves so he can buy productive businesses when they are on sale. He is not a saver, he is an allocator. He waits for years if necessary. He has the discipline to stay liquid when everyone else is being greedy, and the courage to be aggressive when everyone else is afraid. This is the exact opposite of poor person saving. The poor person buys when they feel safe and sells when they feel afraid. The wise person prepares in advance so they can act with authority when the opportunity arises. This is the difference between being a victim of the economy and being a participant in it. Consider a realistic scenario. Imagine an economic recession hits. The stock market drops 40%. Real estate prices begin to slide. Unemployment rises. Two people face this situation. The first person has been saving like a poor person. They have $50,000 in a standard savings account. They feel a temporary sense of relief until they see their neighbors losing jobs. Fear takes over. They stop spending. They hunker down. They watch the news every night. When they see an incredible investment opportunity, like a distressed property at half price, they cannot act. They are paralyzed. They are afraid that if they spend their savings, they will have nothing left for an emergency. They miss the greatest opportunity of their lifetime because their savings were built on fear rather than a plan. The second person has been following the Jewish blueprint. They have the same $50,000, but it is divided. They have a specific emergency reserve, a specific investment fund, and a specific tithe for their community. When the recession hits, they are not surprised. They have been waiting for this. They know that crashes are when wealth is transferred from the impatient to the disciplined. They use their investment fund to buy assets at a massive discount. They know their emergency fund is secure. They even increase their giving because they know their community is hurting. Same crisis, different preparation. 10 years later, the first person is still working for wages. The second person has retired on the cash flow from the assets they bought during the crash. This is not luck. This is mathematics. The rules for building a Solomon-style legacy are simple and direct. First, you must stop viewing your income as your wealth. Your income is merely the raw material. Your wealth is the system you build with that material. Second, you must divide your resources into 3 distinct parts immediately. 1/3 for current needs and emergency reserves. 1/3 for business or productive investments. 1/3 for land or real estate. This creates a fortress that cannot be easily toppled. If the stock market crashes, you still have the land. If the real estate market stalls, you still have the business income. If everything stops, you have the reserves. This is the classic rule of thirds that has protected Jewish families for centuries. Third, you must automate your generosity. Solomon understood that a closed hand cannot receive. Generosity is not an emotional reaction to a sad story. It is a systematic discipline. By giving a portion of your income away first, you break the power of greed over your heart. You acknowledge that you are a steward, not an owner. This creates a psychological openness to new ideas and opportunities. It connects you to your community and creates a social safety net that money cannot buy. People who give are more creative, more resilient, and more connected than people who hoard. You cannot build a generational legacy on a foundation of selfishness. Fourth, you must educate the next generation before you give them the money. Giving a child a large sum of money without the wisdom to manage it is a curse, not a blessing. Solomon addressed his son repeatedly in the book of Proverbs. He gave him the rules of the mind before he gave him the keys to the kingdom. If you leave your children $1 million but do not teach them how to allocate it, they will lose it in less than 5 years. But if you teach them the Solomon Code, they can start with nothing and build a fortune. The true inheritance is the wisdom. The money is just the scorekeeper. This is not complicated. It is a choice. You can continue to save out of fear, watching your purchasing power disappear and your anxiety grow. Or you can decide to become a builder. You can start small. You can begin with the next dollar you earn. You can choose to allocate instead of just accumulating. You are not powerless. You are not trapped by the current economic system. You are making choices every day that either build a fortress or a house of cards. Every dollar you spend, save, or invest is a vote for your future and the future of your children's children. The path of the builder requires patience. It requires the ability to delay gratification today so you can have total freedom tomorrow. It is a quiet, dignified way to live. It does not require you to be a genius. It only requires you to be disciplined. You are building something that will outlast you. You are creating a legacy that will speak long after you are gone. This is the true meaning of wealth in the Solomon tradition. It is not about the glitz or the glamour. It is about the stability and the service. It is about having the resources to do good in the world and the wisdom to protect those resources from decay. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the way you have been handled your resources. Acknowledge the times you have acted out of fear. Acknowledge the times you have been impatient or selfish. This is the first step toward wisdom. You cannot change what you do not confront. Ask for the wisdom to see your money as a tool for production rather than a shield for protection. Commit to the discipline of the 3-generation timeline. Choose to be a steward who multiplies rather than a saver who hides. The weight of your past mistakes does not have to determine the trajectory of your future. You are capable of this discipline. The blueprint is available to you today. Freedom is not an overnight event. It is a series of wise decisions that compound over time. You are building a kingdom, not just a bank account. Your grandchildren will either inherit your wisdom or pay for your mistakes. Choose to be the one who changes the family tree. Choose the path of the wise builder. Go in peace. Walk in wisdom. Remember that the good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children because he understands that wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. The wealthiest people do not save for a rainy day. They build a ship that can sail in any weather. They do not wait for the government to fix the economy. They build their own economy within their household. This is the Jewish blueprint. This is the Solomon Code. It is the most robust financial system ever devised. It has survived empires, famines, and world wars. It will survive whatever comes next in our modern world. But it only works if you work it. It only protects you if you follow the rules. Start today. Divide your portions. Give your first fruits. Invest in what is productive. And watch how the ancient wisdom of the king transforms the modern reality of your life. Every generation has its challenges. Our generation is characterized by debt, distraction, and a total lack of long-term vision. We are taught to want everything now. We are taught to borrow to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. This is the path of the poor person. It is a path of slavery. Solomon offers an alternative. He offers a path of quiet strength and enduring wealth. He offers a way to be in the world, but not of its systems. He offers the chance to be a leader instead of a follower. The question is not whether the code works. The history of the world has already proven that it does. The question is whether you have the character to implement it. Building wealth this way is an act of worship. It is a way of honoring the one who gave you the power to create wealth in the first place. It is a way of showing that you can be trusted with much because you are faithful with little. As you move forward, keep your eyes on the horizon. Do not be distracted by the fluctuations of the day. Stay focused on the third generation. Stay focused on the wisdom. The money will take care of itself. When your mindset is right, the math always follows. When your heart is aligned with the principles of the kingdom, the resources of the world begin to flow toward you. This is the natural order of things. You are now a participant in an ancient tradition. You are part of a community of builders who value legacy over luxury. This is a high calling. It requires courage. It requires you to say no to the culture so you can say yes to your family's future. It requires you to be different. Most people will not understand what you are doing. They will call you cheap or boring. They will not see the fortress you are building until the storm hits. When it does, they will come to you for help. And because you followed the Solomon Code, you will have the resources to help them. This is the ultimate goal of the wise man: to be a source of strength and stability in a world of chaos. Wealth is not found in the things you buy. It is found in the options you have. The more you follow the Solomon Code, the more options you create. You create the option to leave a job you hate. You create the option to start a business you love. You create the option to support a cause you believe in. You create the option to spend your time with the people you care about. These options are the true currency of a successful life. Money is just the medium that makes these options possible. Never forget the difference. Never let the medium become the master. The journey ahead is long, but it is rewarding. Every step you take in the right direction is a victory. Every debt you pay off is a chain broken. Every investment you make is a seed planted. Every gift you give is a blessing shared. You are not alone on this path. Thousands of years of history and millions of wise people are walking with you. The wisdom of Solomon is as fresh today as it was when the ink was wet on the scroll. It is waiting for you to apply it. It is waiting for you to prove it true in your own life. Go forth with confidence. Do not be afraid of the giants in the land. They are nothing compared to the wisdom of the king. Build your fortress. Protect your legacy. Provide for your grandchildren. This is your mission. This is your calling. This is the Solomon Wealth Code. You have the blueprint, you have the authority. Now you must have the action. Go in peace. Walk in wisdom. Remember that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. You are simply the steward. Be a good one. Be a wise one. Be a faithful one. And the inheritance will be yours. The difference between a life of struggle and a life of abundance is often just a few simple disciplines repeated over time. You do not need a miraculous event to change your financial future. You need a miraculous change in your perspective. Once you see money as a servant of wisdom, everything changes. Your anxiety decreases. Your creativity increases. Your relationships improve. Your future brightens. This is the promise of Proverbs. This is the result of the Jewish blueprint. It is not a secret, but it is a mystery to those who refuse to listen. You have listened. Now go and do. The world needs more people who are financially free and spiritually grounded. It needs more people who can provide solutions instead of just complaining about problems. By building wealth according to the Solomon Code, you are becoming one of those people. You are becoming a light in the darkness. You are becoming a pillar of your community. This is a noble path. It is a difficult path, but it is the only path that leads to true, lasting fulfillment. You were made for more than just survival. You were made for dominion. You were made for legacy. As you conclude this time of reflection, Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of the responsibility and the lightness of the promise. You are starting a new chapter. The old way of saving is dead. The new way of building is alive. The wisdom of the ancient world is now your modern advantage. Use it well, protect it fiercely, share it generously. The third generation is waiting for you to begin. Their life depends on the choices you make today. Make the right ones. Make the wise ones. Make the Solomon ones. Go in peace. Walk in wisdom. Amen.